I had to go down this morning and get a new oxygen acetylene because I was low on the pressure on both of the bottles there. I wasn't quite out, but I knew that getting in the middle of the job and running out is no fun. So first thing this morning I went down and got a new bottle. Now I wanted to point out something that Airgas has changed around a few things, and they've changed their design on their valve on the acetylene bottles, and this is the second bottle that I've actually received. And normally you would have the square tool wrench, and that wrench usually turns the valve on the top of your bottle there. I also had a real old antique wrench, which was a forged wrench, and they used to all be made this way in the beginning. They used to all be nice and thick, and they almost were the height of that little square sticking out, and they didn't wear out so much, and they didn't have cheap little wrenches on them at the beginning. Over the years, everybody's had their likes or dislikes on them. The new valve that Airgas is coming on, it actually has a little knob here at the top, and it's as simple as that. It's no strain, no force, real nice. We don't know how long it's going to last or how well they'll hold up, but and also too, you can grab it real quick. Also, that wrench is never going to fall off. This is attached, so it looks like it's going to be a pretty good system, and I just wanted to share that with you. This is the second bottle that I've had with this valve on here, and so we're getting ready to turn on our bottles now, and go ahead, open that up all the way. Alright, now we're ready to go. Alright, let's silver braze our tool bit into that jig there we got. Okay, we got our jug of flux here. We added some water not too long ago. Keep it moist, and that's how we keep this stuff fresh, because the lids never seem to hold them, hold them from drying out. Alright, we verify that we are going to be going in the right direction. We go ahead and we coat. We want the silver solder we're going to enter the silver solder from this side here, and we want minimum or little coming out around the bit so that we don't have any interference right next to the guide here. And this side here, we can grind this towards like under the diameter and plenty of clearance and everything. So what we're doing is we're starting it out like this. We're going to push this in, take our Q-tip, we're going to hit inside the hole everywhere, because you want to rub both surfaces with your silver solders, kind of what I found. Alright, now we're going to bring this back to where that's just flush. We know that the depth or the amount of stick out on a tool bit is going to be fine right there. And we verify that. Alright. Okay, we're just going to wipe off little excess right here and bring that back out right flush. Alright, and we can just double check that. I mean, yeah, like 240. Okay, and about silver solder is you want both parts to be the same temperature at the same time. You can see the flux starting to bubble out of the crack. Just starting to lightly glow, and the glow is pretty well out into all the material there. I just touched the silver solder to it. Alright, we've seen the glow all the way through the thing. We know that that silver solder's drawn in there, and it's not really sticking out the other side, which we don't really want it to. And we're going to let that cool slightly, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to shape this clean on this side here before we slide the height stop on here, and then we'll silver solder that up above here, which will be far enough away from this silver solder to where it's not going to affect it as far as making it molten again, losing the depth and all of that on the tool bit. Alright, we took it in. Alright, we took all the excess off of the back side there, and we've got our tool bit sticking out. And we verify that our distance there is still 240. Alright, now we're going to go ahead, we're going to lube up our stop. We're going to set that so that we have 1/8 of an inch protruding out here in front of it. We're going to silver solder the top side here so that it will support our stop. And then those two items will not change or adjust themselves during our operation. Okay, I got a ring here. It's got a pretty good smooth surface on here. And that bit will be able to rest right there. So we know that this surface here is, we're going to call it 0. Now we want this cap to slide down over here, but we want it to be 1/8 of an inch higher. So I'm just going to take a pair of my 1/8 parallels, just like that, and we're going to verify, laying this right next to here, that it is in fact the same, and it eyeballs out to be the same. If we need a little bit more, we can actually chuck this up on the lathe and take a skim cut on there. Alright, so that's kind of how we're planning on holding this so that we get that 1/8 protruding out the front. Now we're going to go ahead and get some flux on here, and I'm going to go ahead and rub some around on the inside of this bore here. And rub some just around this here, the shank here. You could be using an ash brush. You see me use my fingers time to time. Anyhow. Alright. Wiping the excess off the top here. If you don't wipe off the excess, sometimes the silver solder will just run to the excess. So you have excess solder following the excess flux. Probably the best way that I can explain that. Alright, I'm happy with that. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to fire it up and add some silver solder to the top of there, and we should be pretty well set after that with our tool here. starting to see the glow right there. As you move the heat around, the silver will follow it. Okay, I think that's enough to follow it, and we don't want to get any more heat down on our parallels there. Alright, and alright, it's pretty well solid there now. Alright, we'll let that cool, and we're going to check it out. Alright, we brought this over here the first time, and we put this in here, and we had just a little tiny bit of clearance, so it wasn't coming down to and touching. This shoulder wasn't touching this, and we had a little bit of looseness. So what we did is we reclamped this and heated up our silver solder, and we dropped that ring down so we'd have a little bit of positive contact, meaning you can't push this underneath, but you can raise this up and you can slip it underneath, and then when you pull it out, it has a certain amount of drop. Okay, what we want to do is determine how much drop we have, so that we can set this up in the lathe, and we're going to skim this to an exact measurement so that this just barely slips underneath here freely. So then we know our depth from the cut to the space will be equal to the bearing flanges that we're trying to put in here. Alright, so what we do, and this is just going to be an initial test, we're going to put an indicator here, and yes, I already preset this for this location. It's not just a coincidence. Alright, and we lift it up and we drop it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set this at 0 there. I can't see it that well, so. Alright. Alright, there's 0, and our tool bit is on top of the original material there. Alright, now we slip this underneath. We have like 18, we pull it out, minus 1, 18, 0, okay. Indicator is really stretching its limits to reach up here, so I'm just, okay, so we think about 18 thousandths, but let's go ahead, let's take 10, we're going to set this up in the lathe, and we're going to take 10 thousandths off of this face, come back, and we're going to see if we're progressing in the same direction and sneaking up on this. I don't want to try to take that whole 18 and then all of a sudden be 2 on the other side. So we're going to set this up in the lathe, and this is another reason why we got our centers in here at either end, so we can work either end of this, and we'll go see how it spins in the lathe and skim this face 10 thousandths from where it's at right now. Alright, I like rotating things when I'm lightly tightening on them. See how it's spinning right now. Pretty darn true. Alright, we'll bring this in here. We'll bring our center in. That wasn't too painful. I just noticed that because I'm feeling good, so it's hard not to use the limbs you always use. Alright, how's that look now? Alright, that looks pretty good too. Alright, let's go ahead and we're going to touch off on this. And we're going to take a cut. And we don't have to worry about hitting our tool bit because this has clearance to the outside of the tool bit by, 60 thousandths or so. And we're just coming straight in here. Alright, we're going to touch off here. Alright, nice and smooth. I like that finish even. Alright, let's go take it over and see how it looks with the flange underneath it. Alright, let's slip it back down in here. Alright, there's 0, 9, 0, 9. Alright, so we did take, and it shows us that our touch off method there, and shows the phone still ringing. Okay, I'm going to take this back over and take the remainder 9 and I'll be right back. Alright, let's see what we got now. Just making sure I'm lined up. Okay, I'm starting to stick on there. I could actually push it underneath there and it's like sticking right there. I'm gonna call that good. I'm even holding it in here and it looks damn good. I think it's worth a test. Alright, let me clear this off, get my press all ready to go. And we're going to locate with that slug. And then we're going to change out. I'm going to come down. We're going to do the counter bore. We test fit for that flange. Alright, we swung this around and we brought this down here where we're real close. And we are eyeballing real close, but it seems like this has really moved in a little bit farther. But we're clamped up tight there, so the tilt, and that is the most out is when the column is loosened, this table hangs down a little bit, but with it tightened up, it's nice and square. We've proven that when we first put the thing together. And all of our actions of actually tightening something and seeing how far it moves and off center. One thing nice about our setup here is we have 2 pivot points now, the table and out here. So we can cam these 2 in and out. Alright, so I'm going to grab a 3/4 inch wrench and I'm going to loosen these. And then a combination of pivoting on our fixture and rotating our table, we'll be able to set up our jig holding the tool bit and come right down in the middle of that hole exactly where it needs to be. Alright, relocated one of our 3/4 and just lightly tapping this loose here. And it didn't take much. Actually, We can rotate the table. And we can see it, and we can watch it right there. Looks good. Okay, we're going to tighten up these in a second. Okay, with a combination of moving our table and pivoting at our hub here, we're able to get that nice right in the original location where we set up and did all of the end mill cups straight through. All right, now we're going to go ahead and raise this up, and we're going to get our jig tool bit fixture set up here. I definitely think that is going to be adequate on the speed there. Okay, we're moving you over so you can get a good shot there. And we were kind of playing out with the feel of our speed, and I think we're going to let it go with that. Now we're going to be controlling this with our wheel that will let us control the auto feed down in. This is a Lumitap, but I think also it'll work for lubricant into the hole there itself. Okay, we don't want to be poking into a dry hole. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to engage it, and then I can control by the wheel here. Just so you get a little bit more, I'm going to rotate the wheel here. It's going to create the feed here. And I'm going to get a good bird's eye view down here. Make sure we're doing a decent cut here. There we go, we're touching. Take a look at, I didn't go all the way down, I'm just, let's take a look at it. I'll bring you in here, closer view. And the one curious thing is are we the right size or diameter? And that's nice. Looks like about maybe 15 thousandths total on per side. That's going to leave plenty of room. Okay, let's come on down, and we're going to finish bringing that right on down, and we're going to check a depth reading and make sure the cutter is finest kind on our depth there. Now, yeah, I'm actually rubbing over here. It's clearance over here, so I'm not seeing anything there. But I am seeing a little bit of rubbing going on. It might be some of the chips that are somewhat in between here. But let's go ahead. We're going to raise it up and blow it out. We're going to check the depth of it right now. Okay, looks like we need to go just a tiny bit more, and it might have been just the chips that are sitting above this face right here, and it could be just rubbing those around. So we're going to go ahead and come on down, and then we're going to be holding it by hand and blowing air in there. We're going to see if we can keep that clean and come on down. Okay, and being able to come down by hand like that is much more comfortable than having the crank in it. And we are right flush. That's looking good. And I kind of like the clearance on the outside, about 15 thousandths a side there, clearance. Nice finish down in there. It cuts without having a burr or a raised edge right there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through and we're going to give each and every one of these the spot face there, and then we'll be making our last step, and that will be reaming out the hole for that diameter right there. By hand, and you do have to keep it wet, otherwise it will gall up on you. We had it gall, and it's like it wouldn't feed anymore, and we went ahead and we pulled that back out and put some fluid in there, and we got a nice gloss. So you can get a clog here. We all been in aluminum galling stage before, one time or another. Even with high-speed steel tool bit, it'll still gall up on you. Okay, I'm just rotating so we can get over here, basically on the other side here, without taking everything apart. We're going to go ahead and see if we can align it with our own pin there, which will, that one's already locked, which will make it a lot easier.